audiences know what to expect, and that is all they are prepared to believe in.
In theory, the techniques outlined in Mind Wars by Michael Aquino, which focus on psychological operations and mind manipulation, could be adapted to promote critical thinking and intellectual engagement. The core principle of PSYOPs is to influence human perception, attitudes, and behaviors, which means that the same mechanisms used to incite division or frenzy could be redirected to encourage thoughtful and analytical thinking. However, the effectiveness and ethical considerations of doing so would depend on how these techniques are applied. Adapting psychological techniques for critical thinking. 1. Framing information to encourage inquiry. Instead of using emotional appeals or fear to drive quick, irrational responses, psychological techniques could frame information in a way that encourages individuals to ask questions and engage in deeper reflection. This would involve presenting issues from multiple perspectives, avoiding simplistic narratives, and emphasizing the importance of evidence and reasoning. 2. Promoting open dialogue and skepticism. PSYOPs often works by controlling the flow of information to guide perception. However, by instead promoting a more open and transparent flow of information, individuals could be guided to critically assess what they are told. Techniques such as questioning authority, encouraging debate, and fostering skepticism about easy answers can help people resist manipulation and develop independent thinking. 3. Cultivating emotional intelligence. Emotional manipulation is a key tool in psychological warfare, often used to create fear or loyalty. However, these emotional triggers can be harnessed positively by encouraging emotional awareness and resilience. By teaching individuals how to manage their emotions in response to information, they can avoid being swept into frenzied reactions and instead take time to think critically. 4. Constructive use of media and information. One of the central techniques in psychological operations is the strategic use of media and propaganda. In a positive sense, this could mean crafting media content designed to stimulate intellectual curiosity rather than push agendas. Educational campaigns, documentaries, and public messages could focus on presenting nuanced, complex issues that require critical thinking to understand, rather than reducing matters to oversimplified or divisive slogans. Challenges and ethical considerations. 1. Human nature and bias. One of the difficulties in using psychological techniques for critical thinking is that human nature often gravitates towards simpler, emotionally charged information. Encouraging people to think critically often requires breaking through cognitive biases, like confirmation bias, which could be difficult without first addressing the emotional or psychological predispositions of the audience. 2. Manipulation versus empowerment. The intent behind the use of these techniques is crucial. While it is possible to use psychological methods to encourage critical thinking, there is always a fine line between influencing someone and manipulating them. PSYOPs techniques, by their nature, aim to control the target's thought process. Using these methods ethically would require a focus on empowering individuals to make informed decisions, rather than subtly guiding them toward predetermined conclusions. 3. Sustaining long-term intellectual engagement. Psychological techniques tend to aim for short-term behavioral change, often by creating strong emotional reactions. Sustaining critical and intellectual engagement requires deeper structural changes in education, media consumption habits, and how society values discourse. Psychological techniques alone may not be sufficient without these broader efforts. Conclusion. While the techniques in Mind Wars are primarily designed to manipulate and control, they could theoretically be adapted to encourage critical and intellectual thinking. The key would be focusing on transparency, emotional resilience, and presenting information in a way that invites reflection rather than reaction. However, the ethical implications of using psychological manipulation for any purpose should not be overlooked, and the long-term goal should be to foster independent, informed decision-making rather than relying on psychological influence to shape minds.
I'm sorry, maybe you already answered this, but why exactly are we here?
Son?
We're here because you're looking for the best of the best of the best.
Let's get going.
Want to get down on this?